Okay, so
Okay.
welcome everyone. It looks like right now we do not have Alder, Shannon, or Adrian with us right now. Hopefully they can join shortly. We should probably start then with the pledge.
Great.
Okay. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation
under God.
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks everybody. So we should first, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved, Karen.
Okay, Karen.
Even though I wasn't here, I can just motion, right?
Thanks, Karen. And Dan, was that a second?
Yeah, I second it.
Great, thanks.
For Sheila's purposes, I'm sorry to interrupt. For Sheila's purposes for the recordings, before you speak, if you could identify yourself and then, make your motion or make your comment. That way Sheila knows who's speaking.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, are we good?
Yeah.
All right. So in new business, right, for today, what I wanted to do is, in alignment with what we had spoken about at our initial meeting, where we're going to focus in on certain areas of emphasis or areas of focus for the committee in both short-term and long-term goal setting. I wanted to propose that the areas that we look at are those of accessibility, buildings, walkways, businesses, recreational facilities, areas, things of that nature, community outreach, mentorship, friendship, companionship, and all, active lifestyle, community immersion, work study, internships, partnerships, things of that such. And then also some town services involvement. And what I'd like to propose with those areas is that we create either a task force or subcommittee where one or two of our members can partner up to create the short-term, long-term goals for each one of those areas of emphasis. So we can start to build some momentum in those areas and start to develop a plan for how the committee will act and improve and start to show some growth and benefit in those areas. I know part of our homework after last meeting was to think about things that we could add to this or include in the areas of emphasis. I don't know if anyone has any additional input in terms of things that they think we should be focusing on right now. And I'm open to hearing from anyone what their thoughts are.
Ron, I don't know if this is necessarily, this isn't a new idea, but I think was it Tom that had suggested that we even create a list of things that we currently offer or ways that we meet like the needs of the special needs community. Because I was sitting here thinking of what we need, and I thought that was a good point, that maybe I'm thinking of something we already offer, you know?
Yeah, and that's one of the things we were going to have on the agenda, but it seemed we took it off at the last minute. It's the Community Resource Guide, which is a 29-page listing of all of the resources that Fairfield currently does. That's an awful lot of things that we can do, but I think by combining what's included in the resource directory within the areas where we want to focus will help us hone in on what we want to do. The other thing that I'd like to talk about, we can follow up with this, but just to frame the conversation, is the town has several committees and see, no, I've apologized. my mouse is gone, everything is gone because I'm sitting in a corner right now, where we could get involved in town meetings, such as, community emergency response, Fairfield Cares, Fairfield Fitness Council, Racial Equity and Justice, Strategic Planning, Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, Parks and Rec. These things where when the town is going through and having their meetings and discussions, we could have an assigned person from our committee, not necessarily a formal liaison, but um, but just someone who says, I'm going to raise my hand, I'm going to sit in on those meetings. So when they start talking about bicycle and pedestrian, talking about, whatever their initiative is, we raise our hand and say, hey, don't forget the Commission on Disabilities and this 5% of our population that needs to be thought about. And now we've broadened our reach, and we're leveraging what's already there, to your point, the things that are already being done, where we just need to say, hey, remember us and don't admit us in whatever you're trying to do. And then report back to the committee whenever we have our meeting and say, hey, I sat in on these 2 or 3 meetings that the town had. Just to let you know what they're doing. This is what's going on in the town. This is what I propose. These are the things that we could follow up on. We could dedicate more resources to if it's really an initiative that we want to get behind. And I think this way we help make an impact with what's going on already.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's a great idea to start to get to know these boards and commissions and groups, not to be thorns in their sides, but to get to know them and then learn about where this commission can have a positive impact. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it just helps reduce duplicate effort and gets everybody on the same page. People often don't like when you get into their sandbox, right?
Yeah.
So we don't want to be stepping on any toes. We want to partner and align with what's going on in the town. We're the new kids on the block, basically. And let's see, how we can leverage what's already being done.
Yeah, this I don't know if this is appropriate too, but I was even thinking of like what might be appropriate questions to ask in those things that we're already doing that would evaluate the services from the perspective of someone with a disability. So, like take Parks and Rec. I know my kids play football, so right now I'm getting inundated with emails about, hey, show up at this meeting to make sure they find out about the turf field needs or whatever. And it's great, but I'm not saying that Parks and Rec is failing in this respect, but I'm wondering like what questions might I ask myself to kind of evaluate in this town service, is it meeting the needs of that, like is it is it helping to meet a need, um, or is that an area where we need to get to that town committee to say, hey, if you're interested in ideas for the members of the special needs community, here's some things that we would recommend.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
ADAs, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Karen, sure.
Great, okay. ADA would support people with disabilities to be included in any part of the community. And that's something we need to take a look at in terms of where are there some issues that are not available to people with disabilities.
The town is conducting the Parks and Rec is conducting their facilities, not report, but their evaluations and their needs assessment.
Yep.
And so is the housing authority. So that's definitely something to look to see what those guidelines are and to see what's, as Dan said, to see what's already there. I think sometimes people don't know because they haven't looked at it yet. I know last year there were new beach wheelchairs added that people didn't even know about.
Right.
So I think it's a great idea to take a look at these areas and see what's there and identify what's not.
I just wanted to throw in that when we talk about people with disabilities, we're talking about people with all disabilities, not just physical disabilities, but psychiatric disabilities, cognitive disabilities, learning disabilities. It runs the gamut. So I think we need to be cognizant of people with all disabilities, just saying.
Yeah, it is a very broad spectrum for sure. And it makes a commission like this, um, I think it creates a very complicated issue because you want to cover every area, but to be effective, I think we need to focus on a few now for some short-term wins to prove our worth or um, viability to the town, and then we can start to broaden out to cover more of the uh, be more inclusive of all of the disabilities. But when you start looking at all of them, yes, Karen, it touches a lot.
Vast, and I don't feel comfortable just picking one disability or one group of disabilities, but I would see if we can do some all-encompassing work.
Yeah, all encompassing, I think, in just in a more focused fashion, right? So that's definitely, I think, what I'm initially, proposing in terms of our areas of emphasis. It's everybody within these focused areas. And we do have, which we're going to talk about in old business, the Sacred Heart Project, where they're conducting a needs analysis for us. Um, so Dan, we should be able, to your question, be able to get some data that will help point us in the right direction. With the questionnaire that they're distributing, with some field work that they're doing and speaking with other town commissions and what has worked for them, and how those commissions have been successful. So I think we can, we're going to have to wait a little bit for that, but we can draw on that data, and leverage the town, and we can find out how we're going to, insert ourselves into these things and what we can focus on once we engage.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ron.
Yep. Hi, Shannon. Welcome. So in terms of in the areas that we want to focus on, um, accessibility, outreach, active lifestyle, community immersion, does that sound like enough initiative, too much initiative? Should we narrow it down a little bit? What are your thoughts?
That to me, that's a big undertaking.
Mhm.
It's so vast what you're talking about, in my opinion anyway. It would be a lot to do for a small group like us. That's just what I'm feeling.
Mhm. Okay.
I appreciate what you said about thinking about what's some low hanging fruit that we can go after, because I think it could build excitement and awareness to the commission, and kind of it could be an opportunity to um, get buy-in from the town if they see see the investment of even to your point about joining other, not joining but attending other meetings, and just kind of even if it's to the point of just introducing yourself as a member of this commission, it raises that awareness, and I feel like that's some low hanging fruit that we could go after. um, I think that that's probably a wise step early on, um, so as we don't like to overwhelm ourselves and never really get past the starting point.
Okay. So, and Patty, and I know you're kind of without video right now, and Shannon, you joined a little late. So just to bring you up to speed, we were talking about assigning someone, or having each individual from our commission to volunteer to visit certain town meetings that that would kind of align with what we're doing, whether it be Parks and Recs or Fairfield Cares or emergency response, whatever, whatever we think might be appropriate for us, and just have someone sit there to sit on the meetings and listen to what is going on. And if there's something that sounds like they might be forgetting the disabled community, we can raise our hands and remind them that our commission exists, and if they need any assistance in helping address the disabled community in Fairfield, we're here to help and voice our opinions and guidance. And then when we have our regularly scheduled meetings, we then have those members come back and report back what's going on in the rest of the town in order to leverage what else is happening. So to both Karen and Dan's point, perhaps I'm jumping the gun a little bit in terms of focusing or areas of focus. Maybe our best first step is to assign some people to sit in on these meetings, just to get engaged with the town, and then also wait for what the needs assessment is, what we find from the Sacred Heart um, um, paperwork or work that they're doing, and then that can help guide us in the areas of focus that we take from there. I think that might be more appropriate. No?
Yeah, I like that idea. I feel like the buckets you kind of set up are really good for us long term. I'd be interested to see um, what the needs assessment comes back with more specifically, because it might help us prioritize. Um, you know, Karen, to your point, it's not so much that we want to exclude any one area of disability, but um, being a small commission, it would be helpful for us to know what are the greatest needs in our community that we can begin to address. And so that needs assessment will be helpful. But in the meantime, the low hanging fruit, as you spoke about, I think, Ron, would be an encouragement for us as a commission, but also an opportunity for the town to know that we're here and this is what we're trying to explore.
There's a nonprofit in the state, and they deal solely with emergency preparedness for people with disabilities. And I was wondering, should that be an area that we would be looking at? I could connect with them and see if they'd be willing to talk with us about emergency preparedness and how that the needs need to be met for people with disabilities. Just a thought.
Yeah, you're right on you're right on our wavelength. We were going to have either I think the police or fire come and speak to us about what they do for people with disabilities and the things that are available within the town to be prepared in case of emergency. So
This just takes it to another step by talking to the experts on emergency preparedness for people with disabilities. Just a thought.
okay.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's probably better, not better, but I think we should probably hear from police and fire locally first and then bring in that group. I think it's a great idea because they do coordinate statewide, our emergency operations manager. So so I think we have fire scheduled for July. Maybe we could have them both come, but we'll talk about that. It's a great idea though, Karen.
Yep. Thank you. Patty or Shannon, anything to add? Thoughts?
You hear me? Okay.
All right, you're breaking up on us.
Patty. Ron, this is
Yes.
Patty. Can you hear me?
Not really. You're breaking up on us.
Are you on a cell phone by any chance or a landline, Patty?
No, can you hear me?
That's better.
Yes. Yep, that's better.
Okay, I'm on a cell phone. I'm waiting for Carter. He's in therapy. So I'm in the car. No,
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you can, hopefully you can hear me. I think it's a great idea to be a presence in some of the, like you said, the cares, some of those other Parks and Rec. It's definitely a good idea for us to be a presence so people know that we're here, and a little bit of a nice fly in the ear to show that we're paying attention, of course. So I think all of those are really, really good ideas. And maybe we can determine what meetings are when and put it out there. And then you know, if it works in somebody's schedule, they can grab this one, and then a good idea to report back. So hopefully that makes sense and you guys can still hear me.
We did. We heard you loud and clear. Thanks.
And there's a message from Shannon saying she agrees as well. I think it's another really good idea to get together a list of meetings. And
Okay.
I'm sure there's somebody technologically savvy who can put it out there so people can pick which ones they go to.
Yeah.
It's a nose goes. I don't know how to do that, but
I've been a participant. I haven't put one together, but knowing the people who've put together these types of surveys of kind of voting, if they can do it, I can do it. So Julie, maybe you and I can we'll go through the list of meetings that are out there, and with your guidance, we can determine which ones would be beneficial for us to attend. And then I'll distribute that to the group, and we'll get kind of a vote back on who'd like to volunteer for what. And we'll go from there. Okay, super. So moving into old business, then we did touch on the fact that Sacred Heart has started their work on the needs assessment. We had Alder, Julie, and I had a few rounds of feedback on their questionnaire that and survey that they were going to be distributing. They took, you know, all of our input and incorporated it into the survey. They've just started to, I think, distribute that. The feedback is fairly low right now because they're early in the stages. We in fact just received an email from them half an hour prior to the meeting. So I've been able to skim through it, but not well enough to accurately relay anything back to you about it. But it does give some demographics in terms of the town and the state and what the disabled population is, and the varying disabilities that are encompassed in that. And again, it's going to follow the guidelines of reaching out to other communities and gathering data on our behalf within our own town, and then coming back with recommendations for us. So hopefully, I would, Julie, you've done one of these with them prior, maybe 30 to 60 days, perhaps, to get something back from them, or?
Yep. Well, it looks as though from the email we just got was that they're moving forward with us into the capstone project for the summer and the fall. So they're going to be working throughout.
Okay.
Ron, once you have it, take a look at it. I haven't read it either. You know, at that point, you know, you can decide when to send it out to the group to take a look at, to give them feedback, because they would like to meet soon.
All right.
Is that survey available for us to look at?
Yes. Yeah. I will send it out.
Thank you.
To you. Absolutely. To everybody on the commission, for sure.
I'm going to just mute myself for 1 second because somebody's trying to get on. Figure out how to.
Okay. So, and it will be along the lines of I think the needs assessment that was done for the task force years ago. I think we distributed that previously as well. So
Was done for what? I'm sorry, I missed that.
before our commission was established, there was a task force, and Sacred Heart did a similar needs assessment for that task force. So, and I know we've distributed that to everyone for their information. So if you have that email, you'll know the structure and things that they'll be trying to take care of in this one. So, but I will, once I read through it, I certainly will send this out to you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Julie, you think we should cover with the needs assessment graduate project?
No, not yet. I think that's it. Once we get a chance to read through it and get everybody's input, that'll be great. Dan, you just sent a link in the chat. Was that the survey or the old report?
So no, I'm sorry. I was while you guys were discussing, I just went on the town's website to kind of send a link of what the some of the temporary advisory committees are. If that's an acceptable list, I could build a doodle off of that and just kind of like.
You're just showing off now.
I think he just volunteered.
I did. I mean, unintentionally, but yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
And I mean, I think you can just basically like sign up to attend one of those meetings or whatever. So if we start from that list, so those are just the temporary advisory committees, but the larger list of committees seems a bit more well, actually, I don't know, maybe there's others that would be appropriate. So
Okay. I just wanted, just for our purposes, so if Ron sends something to the commission, if you reply just to Ron, not to the group, it doesn't constitute a meeting. We just have to be careful to not all reply all the time, because that's those are meetings. So if Ron sends information out, please reply to him and only him, if you don't mind. Hi, Tom Bremer.
If I could get that through to all of the parents on my son's baseball team, that would be great.
Huh?
So I don't need to know that Johnny's going to be at the game too.
Yeah.
So don't reply to all.
Right.
Hi,
Okay.
Tom.
All righty.
So I guess that moves us into department update.
I don't have much. It's just the great news that the budget passed with a full-time social services coordinator. Right now, everybody is part-time. So as of July 1st, we will have a full-time social services coordinator, which will help the town, and a full-time senior center director. Previously, it's just me who's been full-time. So that is really great for us, and it was lovely to have town support on that.
Great news.
Pretty much it for me.
Great news.
Yeah, it is. It's great news.
oh, never mind. With that full-time social services, was it full-time social services director or
Coordinator.
coordinator? Is that someone who could help? So never mind. I'll take it offline.
Okay.
I'm thinking out loud, but I probably need to be thinking in my own mind.
It's fun to watch, but yeah, okay, anytime, yeah. Okay, any questions? Anything?
I don't think so. We're moving right along here.
Sure.
Any other business that we want to cover today?
Hi, this is Galen from Parks and Recreation. May I make a comment?
Sure.
Hi, Galen.
Hi, happy to be on the call. This is Galen Brown, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. And Julie, thanks so much for inviting our department to listen in. So yes, as touched upon in this call, we have been kind of embarking upon a master planning process, and accessibility and connectivity were kind of some facets that we had kind of tried to touch upon in all of our surveys and public input meetings. And so again, I know that disabilities can't necessarily be narrowed down to just one type. Obviously, it's a broad spectrum. But so kind of a common thread that came up was that ADA accessibility can be improved and expanded upon, especially at the beaches. Decking, pathways can be expanded to get residents to those sites more easily, which could include expansion of existing mobility-assisted equipment, whether that was like plastic mats, all-terrain wheelchairs. People also kind of touched upon the H. Smith Richardson Golf Club, the marina, the trails at the senior center, the trails at Drew Park, for all needing enhancements to their accessibility. And in terms of a best practice, in Ridgefield, the Norwalk Valley River Trail, which is, I guess, some sort of continuous trail that links Norwalk to Danbury, that was kind of cited as being like a really good practice, a great example to follow, that it's like an ADA accessible path, and that perhaps the connectivity in our town could be improved upon greatly.
Okay. Great.
Sorry, did I just ramble? I just wanted to kind of share,
No,
some relevant feedback that has come up in our master planning process. here.
No,
Well, I just wanted to say, Lake Mohegan, I've tried walking on it 4 times and I've fallen each time. It's very, very difficult to walk on the trails there, just to throw that out.
I myself have fallen at Lake Mohegan many times. I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great feedback. Thanks, Galen.
Of course.
yeah, thank you.
This is Tom Bremers. I'm sorry I got on so late. I was having technical difficulties, and I also have the difficulty of trying to figure out how to be in 2 places at one time. But I wanted to bring up something that I had a gentleman stop in my office yesterday in a wheelchair, and he was basically, we were talking about access to the beaches here. He was very focused on access to the beaches. And we do a bunch of things as a town for those access. But I really was kind of thinking about, after talking with him, are we doing enough, frankly, is what the question that was in my mind. And he said there was another town that has an excellent, I guess, beach area because they have lakes. It was up at Camp Harkness or Harpness, I'm not sure which,
Harkness.
up in Waterford, Connecticut.
Yeah,
And he said, that's a fabulous place.
it
It's
is.
completely accessible, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know anything about it. It's up in Waterford. The phone number is 860-443-7818. And I would love someone to do some research and find out, is there, I was thinking maybe somebody on the commission who could just give us, I'd like to see pictures. I'd like to see if there's something that we can do to enhance the accessibility of the beaches for people in wheelchairs and that sort of thing. I'd like to get some ideas rather than just, we talk about it and say, wouldn't it be nice? And maybe we'll put a ramp here or something. If there's an area that is something that we should be emulating, we should take a look-see and see what we need to do to get closer to that ideal. I think would be something that the commission should be involved in, et cetera, et cetera. And just thought I'd throw it out.
Okay.
Camp Harkness is an excellent example of physical access to the beaches and to campsites, and their whole entire area is accessible, and it's a great, terrific place. A lot of people go up there camping. A lot of people with disabilities go there camping for a couple of weeks or a week. It's very well known amongst the disability rights movement, just to throw that out.
All right, so then that even convinces me more that we should take a look, see at what they're doing and see if we can adopt some of those things here. I mean, I'm sure there's money involved and all that kind of stuff, but I think rather than just talk about it, if we have some concrete examples that we can show people, then I wouldn't mind going in front of the boards, ask for money and that sort of thing. I mean, that's what we do. So, but I don't want to talk about it in concept. I want to say, we want to do this, whatever that is, and have some examples and that sort of thing. So.
We could probably guide the Sacred Heart students in that direction too, as one of the towns that they visit and look at what's been accomplished. So we could ask them to add that to their list probably.
That'd be great.
Yeah, great idea.
And I'm more than happy to take a drive up and talk to them and take some pictures and see what they're doing up there. I have not been there. I've heard of it. I've not been there, but yeah, I'll take a run up there and see what they're doing.
Nice.
Great. That'd be great.
I'm always up for a Sunday drive or a Saturday drive.
It's beautiful. I haven't been in many years, but when I was there, it was just terrific. It was excellent.
Good.
Terrific. Any other, I don't know if we have anyone from the public on for public comment or question. Nope. Julie, I think we're good. Any other business?
I don't think so.
Motion to adjourn?
Check out the website on Harkness. I just was looking at it on my phone, and it's
Yep.
it's
Yep.
really, it's
I have that. I also have the the Google Maps aerial view and I see the multiple parking lots that they have very close to the beach and the
Yeah.
walkways and things. Yeah, very interesting.
Cabins, they have cabins and
Yep.
camping and stuff.
Terrific.
All right.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Karen moves. Tom seconds.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye,
Safe
everyone.
travels and hope you feel better.
Thanks.
Okay.